All right, we can go ahead and get started. Mary, if you wouldn't mind just keeping tabs on letting people in. Looks like there's still some.
Yep, I got it.
Thank you so much. Well, welcome everybody to another session with OAS for Unanet AE. Today, like usual, we're focusing on another aspect of Unanet and how best to use it. Just for anybody new joining us, we do these lunch and learns to help those who are maybe new with Unanet or even those who have been using Unanet for a long time, to help gain some knowledge and to hopefully learn for some the basics and for some others some more advanced ways of using it. So please feel free to ask your questions, either in the chat box or even if you want to come off mute and just ask your question, we can go ahead and do those as we're going. And I'll keep tabs on the chat box as well to see if any questions pop up. And then as usual, if there's any feedback to this presentation, or if you like to see something else presented in lines with Unanet and the use of it and the things that go on with Unanet, please feel free to email me. My email is there on the screen, and we can get that into the works, whatever. Again, these are here to help the users of Unanet. Um, we use Unanet on a daily basis, and we also have partners like uh, Unanet being one of them that is joining us today that can help you use Unanet to the fullest ability. So without further ado, um, we'd like to welcome Randy Hodgins from Unanet. He's a senior solutions specialist with Unanet, and he's going to present for us today on the topic of the AR and AP automations and how powerful those are. And whether you're using them or don't have them yet, you'll get a good idea of how they work and the benefits during this presentation. Randy does a wonderful job. So we look forward to it, and take it away, Randy.
Very good. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate that. I see a lot of familiar names on here. And so for anybody who has not spoken to me yet, you probably will at some point in time in the future. Like Tim said, I'm a senior solutions specialist here at Unanet, and I mainly handle AP and AR automation, as well as other hosting office hours and some other more technical issues. My background, just to let you know, I come from the accounting world. And so I spent 35, I hate to say that, but 35 years in corporate accounting, in all various roles, managing AP, managing AR, financial reporting, leasing, ERP implementations, et cetera, et cetera. That's sort of my background. And so it's easy for me to relate to accountants and, what they're going through and, really how to make the best use of these automated products. I've been here at Unanet now for 2 years. And so I made the switch over to technology about 10 years ago, and I've enjoyed it ever since. With that, let's just start off with AR automation. And so with the AR automation product, Unanet went in probably, I believe it was the beginning of 2023, to really make investments in the AR automation product itself and really enhance the capabilities of what you can do. And so, that product is built into the Unanet platform itself. So it's not a bolt-on. There's no integrations or connections that need to happen for that. It just sits behind a separate license. And, then from there, it's just the configuration with our support team to just get that configured and up and running, which typically takes about 60 minutes. And so, with that, let me just go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll just jump right in. Possibly. So, what we're looking at, we're really looking at the end-to-end process for accounts receivable. And so, how do we take advantage of automation to really make everyone's life easier over the entire life cycle of an invoice that you send to your customer. Everything from the electronic delivery to the payment options that are available to your customers, the automated reminders, all the way through collections and how to monitor those and be able to take advantage of all of the features within there. And so, what we're looking at here is a typical, a standard sample email that would go out to your customers. And so this is all driven via template on the back end. And so you can design that, with the wording you like, design it visually, how you think your customers would want to see that. And of course, there's a whole host of variables that you can pull into the email template itself. As you can see here, I've pulled in project information into the subject. So the end customer does know what project we're talking about. As far as the invoice number, you can pull in invoice number, client information, additional invoice information, additional project information, just to really provide, your customer with the information that they need. And so, with the email itself, of course, you're going to have the PDF of the actual invoice attached to the email. You can also send additional documentation along with this invoice, as long as you do attach that to the sales journal. And so I know some of my customers, they like to send progress reports, timesheets, maybe contracts along with that. And so that is one of the functions of AR automation. So I think what the nice thing in here, also you can add in company logos on here to really, that next level of customization. So the customer feels, like they're getting this email directly from you, sort of a more personalized experience. But, what really makes this unique is, I think, the View Now, Pay Now link for your customers. And so when they're going to click on that, and my internet's a little bit slow this morning. What that's going to do, that's going to take them to an electronic copy of the actual invoice. And so they can see that invoice over here on the left. And then they're going to get a summary of that invoice over here on the right. And so, what that does, that allows them to go in, they can see the summary information. And of course, with this, we have partnered with a third-party payment processor called Stripe. And apparently I redid this email this morning. Of course, this always happens, right? Let me go out here and see if I can find the other actual email that has the Pay Now button on the summary itself. So give me just a second here. And I don't happen to see that. So with that, so if you are using Stripe, and that's our third-party payment processor, so we go through Stripe to manage those payments for your customers. And through Stripe, what you would have a Pay Now button down here. And so the customer could click on that, and there would be a link to be able to pay via credit card or via ACH. And so you can control those options, through Unanet itself. And so if you didn't want to allow credit card payments, you could turn off the option for credit card payments within that link. And so it's a very easy method for your customers to pay. And, most of my customers I see, they will turn on both options and just let the customer decide how they want to pay. Because with this, they do have a credit card option, and Stripe does charge approximately 2.9% per transaction. But through AR automation, you can actually pass that fee along to the end customer. And so, out here, if I had that link turned on, there would be an option, or there would be right here in the summary, the credit card fees that they would be paying if they paid via credit card. Now, with the ACH option, Unanet does have a negotiated rate of 25 cents per transaction, which is a very, very reasonable amount. But that 25 cents you cannot systematically pass on to your customer. With that, if we jump over here to Unanet, what we're going to look at here are sort of the global settings. How do we configure this? What are the options available out here? And, these are all controllable by your admins within your system. And so what we're looking at here, of course, the bank accounts, the GL accounts for the bank, the undeposited funds, the merchant fee accounts. This is what drives those automated entries on the back end. And, from someone who's managed AR before, to me, that's a powerful tool, that really prevents me from having to manually post those, monitor my bank account, determine what has come in for the day, and manually post those payments to the account. So when a customer uses, that Stripe payment method, all of those automated entries, all those entries on the back end are automated for you. And so when a customer makes a payment, of course, Stripe is going to download a receipt journal and move those funds to your undeposited funds account. And when Stripe deposits those into your bank account, they're also going to download an adjusting entry to move those funds from your undeposited funds into your bank GL account. And so, on that back end, those automated entries are a very, very powerful feature. And then if we jump over to the payment rules, of course, this is where you can control those links that the customer sees. And so you can turn those on, you can turn those off globally. And that's what we're looking at here. But just bear in mind, as we're looking at these global settings, these can also be changed at the individual sales journal level, the project level, or the client level. So making it very, very flexible. And so, of course, within the system, you can allow for partial payment if you would like. Some companies don't accept partial payments. Most of my customers will turn that off, actually. And, if a particular customer did call them and arrange for partial payment, they could go on and turn on that partial payment at the invoice level to allow those customers to make a partial payment, because some cash is better than no cash, right? In most cases. And then under delivery settings, the automated reminders, to me, that's a must-have. So you can turn on automated reminders. You can set your schedule out here. You can go out with a reminder schedule for 5 years if you want to. Hopefully none of your invoices get that old. But if they do, you have that option to keep sending those reminders out until you get your cash in. Of course, all of these emails are going to look like they're coming from your company because your company name is going to be specified on there. But the actual email address through AR automation is actually coming from a no reply at infocuspay.com email address. And so the reason for that is we are now sending those emails out through a Unanet server. And the reason we do that is because now you have a full tracking history audit trail on every email that goes out the door. And we'll take a look at that when we jump over to AR collections. But you can see, who you were trying to send it to. Was it delivered? Was there an error on the email? Did the person open the email? And if they opened it, did they click on the link to initiate payment for that invoice? And so, all of those statuses are date and time stamped. And so you have that full audit trail of what happens to every email that goes out the door. Along with that, you do have the ability to CC project leaders automatically. So you no longer have to remember, to, copy the project manager or the PA on the invoice when it's sent. You can just automatically copy or automatically CC them on those emails. So, those are all of your global settings. If we jump over here to the sales journal, I can go up here under settings on a particular sales journal. And you can see here, these are the custom settings that you can use for the individual invoice. So if I turn that on, I can turn on or turn off the ability to pay via credit card or ACH. I can turn off the passing on the credit card fee to the end customer. So if you have that special customer that you always absorb fees for them, you can turn that off for this particular invoice, as well as, different email recipients. Maybe this invoice needs to go to somebody different. So you can put that email address in here, as well as turning on or turning off the CC to the project leaders and changing the reminder day schedule out here for this particular invoice. And so, when you're looking at this, these are the custom settings on an individual invoice. If I jump over to a particular project, you're going to have these same custom settings. And so you can do the exact same thing at a project level. And if you were looking at a particular client, you have those same options for a client in total. So that would apply to all projects, all invoices that go to that particular client. And so the way the system works, it looks at the sales journal first to see if there are any custom settings. Then it's going to look to the project. And so if there are no custom settings on the sales journal or the project, then it's going to look to the client. And so it sort of works in a hierarchy. And if there are no custom settings being used at all, then it's just going to use the global default settings that you set up. And so in that respect, I think it's really, really flexible, being able to, focus on individual invoices, projects, and clients, as opposed to just global settings overall. And then when we take a look, at the automated invoicing itself, I think this is a great feature. I don't know how I would manage AR without it. Just being able to go out here, especially if you have an internal process going on. You like to review everything that's out there ready to invoice for maybe a particular week. Maybe you like to, send your billings out on Friday mornings. So you spend, the rest of the week out here reviewing these, making sure they've gone through the PM bill review process. Once all of that's complete, and of course you post an archive, that is when the invoice is actually generated and attached to the sales journal. And so, if you get all of that done Monday through Thursday, this is your first opportunity to go out and mass deliver everything that's ready for billing all at one time. Even if you like to break it up into billing groups, that's also possible as well. Or if you like to work on, one customer at a time. If I've gone through here, I've verified everything for City of Portland. I think everything's good. I can automatically send those two out and then just concentrate on the other ones that need to be taken care of. And probably the largest, difference you're going to see is out here in the AR automatic AR collection screen. Of course, AR automations does come with a dashboard. So you can, get a high level look, what are my AR balances, what's past due, how many invoices are past due, as well as, how many emails have failed. So it's all important information. I can drill down into just past due invoices. If I just want to work those, this week, I can do that. And so I can, filter down. There's also additional filtering capabilities out here. And so if you like to, maybe you're working with one project manager and, only that project manager is passed to accounts. Once you use these filtering options over here on the right or on the left, those are going to be reflected up here in your dashboard. And so you're just going to see, all of those outstanding items for a particular project manager, maybe a principal, or maybe even an individual company that you want to look at or focus on, while you're working those collections as you go along. And I think, one of the nice things about this, like I said, the full audit trail tracking history, once you start sending these out through a Unanet server, this is what you're going to see. And so on this particular invoice, I can see, it was delivered to these 4 individuals. Only one of them opened it. And I can see, the date and time when they opened it. On these other 3 individuals, I can see that it was delivered to them. They opened the email and they clicked on the link within the email to initiate payment. And so from a collection standpoint, that's vital information because you're really looking for those emails that have failed, maybe the multiple deliveries to one customer. It says that the emails have been delivered, but no one has opened those emails. That's a good indication that, maybe these are going to a junk folder. And so you may need to contact them and just say, hey, I've been sending these emails with the invoices and no one has ever opened them. And so, that's one great tool within your AR collections arsenal. And if I was going to look at, an individual one, I can see, hey, this one has an error on it. Maybe I need to do something. Well, not maybe. I do need to do something with it. Get this back out the door. So I can get my cash back in, right? Because that's the name of the game. And so I can go out here. If I was going to look at that individual invoice, I can see everything that has happened to that invoice. If I was going to look at, look at this top one up here. So if I go out here and take a look at this, I can see that this invoice, whether through reminders or through initial delivery of the invoice, has been sent 6 times. And so I can see everybody that it went to. And if I can get I swear one of these days, I'm going to make them make that button bigger. So I can see everybody that it went to and exactly what happened to it, because our servers refresh every 5 minutes around the clock. And so, it's almost real time as far as the status is. And so you can just track that, after you send it, you can see when the email was delivered, who it was delivered to, did they open that? And if I found one out here that did fail, I would go out here to the custom settings. I would correct the email address right here and requeue it and resend it. And so, just being able to do that from the screen, of course, you're going to have to correct the email address somewhere else in the system, whether it's, on the project as a billing address, or if it's on the client, you will have to manually go back and change that. But while you're in here in collections, you can just do it on the fly and requeue it, get it back out the door. And so, once that happens, once you get that back out the door, I would probably go out here, right click on the failure notice and dismiss the failure. And so that way it's going to reset that status as it goes through, and it's going to take that off your tile up here where you're monitoring or tracking emails that have failed. And so, really this is, from the AR collections grid, this is really your second opportunity for mass delivery. if you wanted to look at, all of your past due invoices, you drill down onto those. I'm going to sort this by age out here. I can see that all of these are extremely old, except for this last one. So, I get tired of waiting for my money. I need the cash back in the door. I'm going to select all of them except for this one down here at the bottom. I'm just going to requeue a reminder directly from here. And so this is going to send a reminder in addition to the normal reminder schedule for these. And so I think you've got a lot of options out here, and especially just being able to see, hey, what are these statuses and what has happened to this email? Because when you send things through Outlook, you don't get those statuses. So I think that's a really handy tool out there for AR automation. And so that's just a little bit about AR automation, sort of that start to finish process from, delivering the email, documentation, providing that payment option out there for your customers, the reminder schedules, the AR collections grid with the audit trail tracking history on emails that go out the door, just to really, sort of tie it up into a nice end-to-end package, really, for AR processing. And so with that, I will stop and see if anyone has any questions.
Hi, Randy. This is Amy.
Hey, Amy.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good. So I noticed that there's an option in the client to mark that you accept ACH. Does that need to be done on each client, or is there a option to mark that for all clients?
There is, well, if you're using custom settings, you're going to have to select all of the settings that you want to apply for that client, because it does not pull over the global settings to populate these custom settings. And so if there were particular clients that you were using custom settings on, you would have to go out here and make sure that allow credit card payments were turned on, or allow bank payments were turned on. Does that make sense?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Nope.
just to clarify though, it's not necessary to use the custom settings. So if you don't have to use a custom setting for any of those other options, you would just leave that off and it would default to the global settings.
Okay, and the global settings are under the
Delivery payments. Yep.
Okay, so if we just have ACH, then that's like global for everybody.
Yes.
Yes.
So
if you're
here's the global.
Okay.
You could just have ACH, or you can have both, or you could just have credit cards. Most people do at least the ACH, and many do both, especially because you can pass on the fee. And that way, if I feel like there's always more people that are willing to pay the fee than you realize, and that's how you get your money the fastest. So I think it's always worth putting that on, but of course it's personal preference.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to add to that, just to give some insight into that, I thought that there wouldn't be very many people using credit cards. But I think procurement cards and virtual cards are so prevalent these days. When I look at every payment that goes through Stripe, 60% of those are ACH payments, but 40% of all the payments made are via credit card. And these are invoices 10,000, 20,000, 30, 40,000, things that you wouldn't think that someone would pay via credit card. So I think, instead of making that assumption, just turning it on, let the customer decide how they want to do it. I think you would be surprised how many come through via credit card.
Yeah, I know I was surprised just in our OAS environment how many choose that. And so I think you're right, Randy. People are getting points or have virtual cards
Yes.
or whatever, and it's worth paying the fee to get whatever other perks they have.
Okay.
Randy, we have another question in the chat there. It's if we receive payments via wire transfer, can this be done through AR automation?
It
And
cannot.
also,
No.
sorry, if we receive payments in more than one currency, will AR automation post to the different currency GL accounts?
Yes. So on your first question, the wire transfers, I mean, that would almost be like a manual check because that is just a direct bank-to-bank transfer and it does not flow through Stripe. And so that would be a manual process for posting, just like a manual check. As far as multi-currencies, yes, Stripe does handle multi-currency. And I think it would depend on your configuration, whether you're using multi-currency within Unanet itself. If you are, then the invoices are going to go out in the currency that you're sending it out, for those organizations, of course. And Stripe will collect in that same denomination. If you're only using, I'm trying to think about this, trying to be careful with my wording here. So if you're using, one chart of accounts and you're manually translating those funds to be able to manually post those, that's probably a different scenario. Would you agree, Mary?
Yes. I'm not, I haven't done a lot of multi-currency with this, so I don't know if anyone else has.
Alrighty, I was just asking because I was just looking at this setup that you had there for the accounts, and it had all US dollar, and we deal both in US and Canadian, and clients routinely pay us, well, most of them pay wire transfer outside of Canada, otherwise it's EFT. I don't know if Stripe is handling EFT for Canadian clients or not.
No, we are handling pre-authorized debits, which of course would be the equivalent of ACH, but wire transfers, no.
Yeah, and for us, like that's pre-authorized debit is not something that any of our the type of projects we do, that's not the option that we have with them. Yeah, like we do have credit card, not a lot, like very few, just because of, like I said, the type of work that we do. So I'm just wondering, in terms of our automation, what exactly, we would use from it. Like, can you send statements out to clients from ER automation that would consolidate all open invoices onto one statement?
There are customized invoice designs that would include the statement at the bottom of an invoice. So that would go out with the invoice. As far as manually or, select, hey, I want to look at these 5 customers, I want to send them a statement. There's no way, or currently today, I know it's a suggestion out there, but you can't just click a button and say send statement.
Okay, so it's still through like going through the AR reports and creating a statement and sending it.
Right. I mean, you could always go through, create the statement for the account, turn around and manually attach it to the sales journal before you send the invoice. So that way it would deliver it.
But with the reminders, it's a reminder for every single invoice. So if a client has 20 invoices, they get 20 invoices, they're getting 20 emails, right? One for each invoice?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yep. And the reason for that is because that Stripe link is unique to each individual invoice. And so that's how you get those automated entries on the back end, is because of that unique link, which is unique to each invoice that's out there.
Okay, so if we weren't, like I said, we have very few clients that use credit card. So we can use this just to handle the email portion of things if we wanted to send like a consolidated reminder for all the open invoices, that type of thing. And like to have the email tracking functionality of this.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. You can attach documentation to the sales journal. Yeah, I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that. Well, let me think about that. Let's talk through that scenario just for a second. Could you go through that use case again?
If we wanted to use AR automation to like right now we use automated invoicing and it works great. We send all our invoices out through that, and then monthly we create our statements using AR reports and we send those out manually. I was trying to see if there was a like automated option for statements with AR automation, like sending a reminder for everything, because we really don't have clients that use credit card payments. Like we have a handful, but the majority pay by wire transfer or EFT. I'm just trying to see, you know, like for us, what makes the most, if we get enough usability out of it to warrant, you know, adding it on to our system.
Right.
So just to kind of think outside the box here. So even though automated statements aren't a function of AR automation, you get the individual invoice reminders. But you could automate AR statements using like an InFocus job or something like that, if that was something that you wanted to look into.
Okay.
This is Martha. Feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can get you an estimate to do exactly what Mary's talking about. I
Okay.
didn't think about that when we were talking, but
Yeah.
yep.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's why I was asking the questions, and also I could come with some feedback for you as well, Martha. Thanks.
Sure.
Great question. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
We have another one, Randy. Can you re-show us again how to clear the emails failed area?
Yep. Yeah, so if you're out here in AR collections, you're on the email history. Help if I selected one, wouldn't it? And on the one that failed, if you right click on that failure notice, you'll get a box that pop up that says dismiss. And so that will dismiss the failure error and take that out of your emails failed tile up here at the top. Did that help?
Yep, thumbs up.
Very good.
And another question, if we receive a check from a client, how do we enter the payment manually in the system?
You would have to create a manual receipt journal to clear your AR and move that to cash.
Yep, that answers the question. Thank you, Randy.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we have for questions in the chat right now.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So let's move on. Let's see what kind of time we have. Did you want to leave any time at the end for Q&A or any follow-up or anything,
Yeah,
Tim?
Maybe 5 or 10 minutes at the end. Seems like everyone's asking questions as we go too, so I think we're good. Okay, perfect. So let's jump over to AP automation. And so, when we're looking at AP automation, it sort of falls along the lines of AR automation. It's an integrated product within the ERP platform itself. It just sits behind an additional license. And it uses OCR technology to be able to scan or review electronic invoices as they come in and extract that data and populate purchase journal templates for you.
And so, really the AP invoice automation product is designed or centered around email ingestion. And so really just pulling those files in and populating the purchase journal templates for you. I know we have, in conjunction with AP invoice automation, we have also started putting in enhancements in AP invoice approvals to really complement that whole experience, as far as the input of AP invoices. And so if we were looking out here, with the latest enhancement that we did put in, as far as the email ingestion, I mean, as invoices come through, and in my mind, I would be looking at probably the central inbox that you already have established internally, and being able to automatically forward those to a unique email address that's going to be assigned to your company. And that unique email address is actually the OCR reader. And so it's not a manageable type of inbox to where you can go out there and see invoices or emails sitting out there, be able to delete or reply to. This is just simply forwarding an email that has an attachment and having the OCR reader, extract that data. And so if I were to send, some of these invoices and, really think about that, with that type of ingestion, of course, it's working for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so, even if invoices are being sent on the weekend, what it's going to be doing is extracting that data and populating it into this central repository. And from someone who's managed AP before, to me, this is, key to managing your AP processes. Just be able to see, what has come in and what do I need to work on today to get these processed prior to month end. Because in my world, I used to have invoices come in to PMs, to procurement, into general accounting, emails just coming in everywhere. And so, just having this ability to be able to pull that data into the system itself, to me is key. And so, I just sent those emails and I can, it typically takes 30 to 45 seconds for it to read those and pull that data into the system. And so now I have that sort of holistic view of, hey, what do I need to be working on today? And so, with that process, I think that's a lot of efficiencies over, receiving that email, having to save that electronic file to your hard drive, turning around, uploading it into the system. And then after you create the purchase journal, manually attach it to the purchase journal. This sort of takes a lot of that away. And so, with the product itself, I mean, very simple product. There's only 5, settings out here. And so, you're really looking around notifications. Do you want to be notified when invoices are out there and ready to be reviewed? Purchase order matching. The majority of my customers, 99.9%, have no purchase order process in place. But it does have the ability to do 2-way matching and 3-way matching. And then duplicates, what do you want the system to do with duplicates? Do you just want a warning? Do you want a hard error? Or do you want to turn off duplicate check altogether? As well as excluding $0 line items. So I know a lot of my customers get, vendor invoices in, and apparently the vendors are using a template, and they'll leave all of the line items on there, and they'll only populate a dollar amount for the line item that they're billing for. And so this will allow you to exclude any $0 line items that come in. And of course, with this past release, we had the email submission. And so when you enable this email submission, this is where it's going to assign a unique email address for the OCR reader itself. And so you can download that into your contacts so you can manually forward emails that come in. And you can also use that, as a rule on your Outlook to be able to automatically, forward those emails that come in to this unique email address. And so when we're, looking at this, I can see out here, hey, these look like potential duplicates, of course, which they probably are since I upload these all the time. But it's, not only looking out here, within this grid for potential duplicates based on vendor name, invoice number, invoice date, and dollar amount, but it's also looking at every purchase journal that's ever been created. And so, to me, that's key. So if I saw this potential duplicate sitting out here, I would be looking through this grid to see if there's anything sitting out here. Maybe it came through twice. Maybe someone sent it to you twice to see, if there was any duplicate, and also be able to go out there and scan purchase journals just to double check to make sure it's not a duplicate before I enter it. And so within here, I can see created by, I can see the ones that came in via email, and then I can also see individual username who uploaded this manually. So you do have that visibility, how these are being populated into AP invoice automation. And so if I were to, open one of these up, that's not good. Let me try this again. Stop sharing my screen here a second so I can, apparently it kicked me out. Try this again. Just a second. Okay, now. Now, if we're going to look out here, I think I'm sharing my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we're gonna, click on one of these to review. Of course, you're gonna see your electronic copy of the actual invoice over here on the left. And then over here on the right, you're gonna see, what has been populated by the OCR. And, at this point, I can add additional attachments if I want to. So if I have additional supporting documentation, I can see it's defaulted to my trade AP account, which you specify which account that's going to be. I can see it's extracted the vendor name. If it cannot find the vendor name, in this last release, it also stores your selection in the background. So if it couldn't find an exact match in the vendor master, then of course it's not going to populate a vendor name here. If you did the drop down to search for the correct, what on earth? So if you did a drop down to search for that selected vendor and you select that vendor, then it's going to store that in the background. And anytime an additional invoice comes through, it's going to automatically populate that for you. As far as the invoice date, invoice number, due date, I can see all of those have been brought in. And so I'm just going to alter the invoice number a little bit because I know it's going to be a duplicate. If there is a due date on the face of the invoice, it will pick that up and populate that. If there is not a due date, then it's going to look at your vendor master to look for any terms on that vendor to calculate a due date for you based on the invoice date. And then, of course, you know, if you didn't like either one of those dates, you always have the option of populating, you know, a different date that you wanted to pay that. I can see that, of course, it's pulling the total amount due. The GL period will auto-populate based on the invoice date if that GL period is open within the ERP. And so if that GL period is not open in the ERP, then you're going to do the drop down. It's going to give you a list of all open periods that you can select to apply this invoice to. And then, of course, you know, down here, you know, on the amounts, I can see it's pulling the line items. And so at this point, it's a matter of, you know, coding project path, expense code, or GL code, depending on, you know, what type of invoice it is. It does have the bulk change feature and bulk delete. So, you know, if you selected all of these and you populated project path, it's going to annoy me. It's going to give you a warning message, edits on multiple line items. So if you click continue, it's going to populate every individual line item that you have selected. And the same thing on the expense codes. You know, you can mass change on the expense codes, and you can also bulk delete. So if you're getting in those invoices that have 50 line items, you know, of course, you have the option to go out here and delete all of the line items. Change the dollar amount on the one line item if you just wanted to see one transaction in your general ledger. And then, you know, from that point, it's a matter of, you know, adding any comments out there, AP or GL comments, and saving the changes. So if you saved as draft, it's going to go back to your grid and just sit there for you to complete it. Saving the changes, this completes the transaction, creates the purchase journal, and attaches the PDF to the purchase journal. And from there, if you have AP approvals turned on, you would go ahead and assign the approver directly from this screen to route it for approvals. And so that's, you know, sort of the functionality available within the AP automation product as of today. And yeah, so I see we're getting close to time. So if anybody has any questions, more than happy to answer any questions for you.
Hi, Randy. This is Ivy from Salt Eye. I really like the duplicate feature, but will it look for a purchase journal from the past, like before using AP automation?
It will.
It will. And is
Yep.
there a column that you can add where you can add the total efforts of that path to date, like to see if that invoice, if that specific path has already reached its limit, or
Currently today, no.
not yet? Okay.
No, not within AP automation. I would imagine a lot of that information is available at the project level. Is that
Correct.
correct, Martha? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Randy, I have a question. I have a question on the invoice approvals. I know
Hey,
that
Maureen.
how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Okay, I'm good. Okay, so we've been using AP automation. I
Okay.
know that the setup for whether invoices are, God, where'd it go? Oh, there's an auto approve and AP invoice approvals in a vendor
Correct.
setup. Is there a way to, like, we don't do auto approvals in here. I mean, we know that if it's a fixed fee job, we're going to enter it on an accounting side unless we hear differently from our project manager. Is there a way to get rid of all of the invoices sitting out there in AP invoice approvals because we have not turned off the that they need approval in a vendor setup?
How many of them do you have out there?
Oh, there's about 500.
And these are vendors where you're getting in invoices, and some may need approvals, some may not.
We actually get them approved prior to even putting them into AP automation. So we don't use the approval process in the system currently.
For particular vendors?
Correct.
And so have you turned on the enable AP auto approvals or not?
The box is not checked on any of them at this point in vendor setup. But is there a way, I guess, to clear them out? Or maybe
one would be to I mean,
refresh. And we can take it offline. It's, you know, we've been using it and know what, I look at these and we know they're truly approved, but.
And what apply date do you have in there on the setup?
Well, currently it's showing like February to May, but I know that anything from May back is truly closed out accounting period.
Okay, and what dates do you have in the approval settings?
Hang on. Well, I know our current accounting period is June.
Okay. Yeah, let's look at that. We can take this offline.
Maybe we can do it on office hours Wednesday.
Oh, true. We could do that too.
True.
Okay.
We have another quick question. Can you use assign approver function outside the AP automation process?
As far as what? Timesheets or?
Good question.
I mean, this is available within your AP applet, the approvals process. And so it's just a matter of
doing approval on invoices manually entered into Unanet.
Correct. Yes, you can do that. Yeah, so it's just a matter of turning it on and being able to assign permissions to AP approvals. So when you go into a particular purchase journal, you will have that option once you turn that on to assign or route for approvals. And so that is available for you today. And I know there's some Knowledge Center documents out there that shows you how to turn that on. But if you need help, you know, just reach out to Tim.
Yeah, we can
reach out to y'all first, and then
I'll see if I can dig up those instruction documents on Unanet and send them along.
Okay.
Is there a limit? Is there a limit when attaching documents or to the invoice?
I'm not aware of any limit as far as number.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I'm not aware of any limitation. I think for some reason in the back of my mind, I've heard a limitation of 3,000 invoices per month, but that's for the OCR. If you're just attaching your own documentation and it's not running through Verify, then I'm not aware of any limitation on the number of documents.
Okay. And can you upload as a JPEG?
You can. Yep, you got multiple options out there for uploading. So when you, well, go back. So when you're in AP invoice automation, when you upload, whether it comes through automated email ingestion or not, or you want to manually upload those, you'll see here the doc types: PDF, text, JPEG, PNG.
Perfect. Randy, I'm going to switch over to share my screen just in conclusion, but then anybody that has additional questions, we can stay on if you have the time. If that's okay. So again, just in conclusion, sorry we went a couple minutes over. Anybody that has questions that want to be answered, we can answer those right after this. But just wanted to give everyone a heads up that I'll be sending a survey out after, along with the recording. So if you have any more additional questions, if you want help looking at the AP and AR automation in more detail, or if you already have it and you want some help using it, you can contact us, and between us and Unanet, we can get you the help that's needed. So again, look for that survey, and if you could, please fill it out. Even if you're not interested in receiving more information, that just helps us quite a bit. And also, Randy hosts what's called office hours on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. So if anybody's interested in joining us for those as well, send me a note and I'll get that to Randy and we can get you the invite and everything going forward for that. Just by way of what's next, on July 21st, we have an interesting presentation on dynamic invoice solutions, some invoice solutions that might work well for you as add-ons to what you already have. And then August 4th, we're going to talk about work in progress, unbilled revenue, and then introducing RevRec as well and going into that a little bit in detail. So we look forward to those coming up. And if anyone needs any sort of help one-on-one, please reach out to me. My information's there, whether it's AP or AR automation or anything else to do with Unanet and your system or processes. You can reach out to OAS. We can help you the best that we possibly can. So again, thank you, Randy, very, very much. Great presentation as usual. And we can now answer a few more questions for whoever wants to stay on with us. But thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you at the next one. All right, Randy, let me just see here. Do you have a couple extra minutes?
Sure.
Okay. Is AP only available in the website version?
No. The AP license applies to desktop or the web version. So when you're looking at the web access, I mean, there's certain functions that you can do in there, like, timesheet approval, AP approvals, AP invoice automation, but all of that exists in the desktop as well.
Perfect. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question, Ivy. And Yvette, you had a question about approvals. Do you want to ask that?
Sure. Hey, Randy.
Hey, Yvette.
This is different from the question that I've been emailing you about today.
Okay, good.
So, but it has to do with the approval process for
Okay.
invoices. So I email a project manager, they approve it, and I have it routed to where it's going to come back to me. I make any changes if they tell me what they need changed, and then I approve it. Normally, outside of the system, if I went in and did a purchase journal, I would send it to our accounts payable person as a final. Do I have to set that final person as part of the list of people? The person who normally would have done it? Or if I have it go from me to the project manager and they approve it, like,
Yeah.
Where's it gonna go? After the last approval?
So, and jump in, anybody, I would say that you would have to manually select the entire workflow. So if you want it to end with AP, then AP is going to have to be the last to approve it prior to disbursement.
Okay.
Yep.
Then right now, there's 3 of us that have access to pretty much approve things.
Okay.
It used to be 1 person, but what we've learned is when you have 1 person set up as the end all be all, if they go out on medical leave,
Right.
you're having to do a bunch of stuff behind the scenes. So is there a way, or am I missing, if there's a way to have like the admin group be the final, like where final approval can always be done by 3 of us admins? Or do we just have to use a token and go in and do it on their behalf?
I wouldn't think you would have to have, I'm trying to think, because I was thinking with admin, does everybody have admin rights? Or no?
No, there's just a couple of us with it.
Okay. I don't know. Mary, would you know offhand as far as the setup of that?
Sorry. I thought I needed to unmute myself and I muted myself. Administrators can go in and override anybody's approval without using a token. So I'm
Okay. We just
So-
started using it, so before we roll it out, I'm trying to make sure I've got all the steps in order, so I don't cause more confusion.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's 3 of you kind of sharing that responsibility, maybe you leave that off of the workflow and or maybe I don't know if can you make project accountant part of the workflow, Randy? And that way you're muted now.
How'd that happen?
I know. Um,
Yeah, you should be able to make project accountant part of the
yeah,
workflow.
so that the final step is always project accountant, and then it kind of sits in a queue for whichever 3, you know, people that are project accountants need to go in and make sure that gets that final approval. Does that make sense?
It does. Okay.
Does anybody have any other way that they're doing that?
Take that as a firm no.
Does that help you with that?
So
or-
Randy, would Mary and Tom would they be the ones I would go to with the wonky question I asked you earlier? Or is that a Unanet?
I don't know. Let me look. I will find out.
Because that's like the last step for me rolling it out to my whole team, is
Okay.
I'm trying to verify they don't have to do all these filters where you can only select the filters if you have something in the queue. So I'm just,
Oh, well, yeah, if we got time, go ahead and ask that on here.
okay, so currently if I route an invoice to a project manager to approve, and they approve it and I want it to come back to me, but what's happening is when they go to pull up the invoice, you know, they click on the email or they get notification, they click on it and it shows, I mean, depending on what you have the GL period set for, it either shows everything that's out there waiting for approval. And the filter where you can select the status or the person does not show their name. But if you go over to the far right filter, you can select by the status that you're looking for, waiting for approval, rejected, whatnot. And then you can see items that are just that status. It's just confusing for us, for a project manager to go in there to approve something and anything that's out there waiting for approval is sitting out there.
Yeah.
It should
So
only
you're
be,
talking. So right here, you're talking about this far right column over here.
right. So if I'm a
So-
project, because this is what I've been doing today, is going in with tokens and pretending I'm a project manager, and I go in there and so if I click on the other one, like status or approver, that does not help me as a PM. But if you go over where you just were, I kind of have to know what status I'm looking for. And then even then it will still show. So if you do like awaiting approval, because that's all they're going to have in there is things that are awaiting their approval. It shows everyone, not just their own. And it shows who the approver is. It doesn't necessarily show you who. So like I might be the final approver, but the person that's like, I've assigned it to Chris Foldasai. And then when he's done, it's going to go to Beth. It'll show Beth as the approver. So he doesn't even know when he gets to the screen, which one is waiting on him. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
know
sure
you-
it makes sense to me. So it's someone different than what is going to show in the approver column? Because if he filters by his own name, wouldn't he see?
It doesn't show his name.
So it's multiple.
What shows in the approver column?
Okay, so that won't show up until you click the far right filter. Those two filters that you're using, status and approver, if you have none of that, if they're either all selected or none are selected, it gives you different options in the other filters.
So you still have that name field. It's just that it's showing you the other types of invoices, not just the ones that are waiting approval.
So if I wanted to filter down just to Lewis,
Then these should be ones that are waiting for him to approve. Is that not what you're seeing in your system?
So I sent Randy a screenshot where I went in.
yep. And I haven't even had a chance to look at it yet. Sorry.
And I had two, I'm gonna have to, I was trying. I guess it's just confusing if you are a project manager to have to filter through everyone else's just to get to yours. You would think if you click on a link and it brings you to AP invoice approvals and you can only approve yours, that's all that should show up. They shouldn't have to filter through one filter on the right to then get to other filters. It has been my understanding until you click on all that stuff on the right, the stuff in the middle doesn't show up. So if you look at Randy's screen, before I clicked on that far right one that you just used, these were my options under approver. It had just that. But then after I clicked on it, if you scroll down, then it showed up just what Chris had, Foldasai. Then it showed those names.
So it's really that two-step process that's making it
It's-
confusing,
It's a two-step filter process, and
right?
which if they can't, like, it physically isn't going to let them approve somebody else's, those shouldn't even show up. I wouldn't think. I mean, that's just, they have so many expenses and invoices they're approving in addition to just the project that they do. I just think because that's what I'm trying to do is give them step-by-step instructions and with screenshots, and that I was like, wait a minute. So then I was going to go set their filters for them, but that's when I realized I couldn't set the filter unless they had something pending. Because their name wouldn't be in the drop down. And then I wasn't sure if it probably wouldn't be set in both the desktop and the web. So that's when I started emailing Randy. So I was like, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong.
Right.
So,
And support responded, right? With the two-step answer?
no, I just figured that out myself.
Oh, okay. So have they not responded to this at all yet?
The second email I sent where I did a reply all, no.
Yeah. Okay.
Not yet.
Okay, let me check with support. And we'll see what they come back with.
Okay,
Because I would, yeah. Because if I was a PM, I would only want to see things that I need to approve in my grid.
Yeah.
To me, it makes most sense, but who
Mhm.
knows?
well, that was my big question.
And possibly there's some kind of global setting to maybe limit that.
Right.
That would be awesome.
Yep. So let's see what support says and we'll go from there. How's that?
Okay, because otherwise I think it's great. It's like used to take 4.5 minutes to do a purchase journal, upload everything, look, and now it takes 10 seconds. So it's a wonderful thing.
Perfect.
Our person that's coming back off medical leave is excited to learn how I've changed her job, even though it wasn't me, it was you all that changed it, but I think she's gonna like it. It'll make her job easier.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's
Thank
great to
y'all.
hear. And
Yeah, yeah.
anything that's, because this is a newer feature, so, they will continue to improve it. So anything that's not working exactly the way that you would want it to work,
Mhm.
make sure to put it in the suggestions portal so that, they can see it, other people can vote on it, and hopefully you'll see that improvement in a future release.
Okay, has anyone offered where it would be awesome if, when you're in the setup mode, when you're choosing, all the defaults, where you could say, I just want it to be one line item, the invoice total, instead of all the different ones?
Yes.
Okay, I figured as much. But
Yes.
that would be my biggest suggestion. That's the one that we changed.
Yeah, go out there and vote on it.
Okay.
Because I believe it was Adrian that submitted that, the summarization of line items.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I love being a guinea pig for stuff. So if y'all want to test anything with beta, I'm at it. I love it.
Nice.
Thank you all.
Yeah, and you're in
Yeah,
good hands
thank you
with Randy.
for sharing that. It's always good to look at how people are using things and what issues they are having and trying to, create their workflows.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're in good hands with Randy and Unanet support, but if we can help at all, just feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy. So either way.
Very good.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. 18
Yeah,
minutes.
thanks, everybody.
That's a good presentation when you have to go over.
Yeah, thank you so much, Randy,
Yes,
for
thank you.
doing this. I think it was helpful.
Oh, yeah, no problem whatsoever. Hope everybody has a great rest of your week.
You too. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you, everybody.